Hello and welcome along to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're here for instant match reaction to Aston Villa 1, Leeds United 1, with myself, Stephen Brown, and joining me as ever to break the game down, I should say, and talk about all the key points. It is, of course, Jason Booker as well. If you're watching us along live, please get your comments in, like the video, and get subscribed to the channel as well. And do the same if you're watching this later too. Oh, we were so close. We were so close to hitting 33 points in the league. That would have put us 9 points clear of West Ham in 18th, and it would have felt 1 foot in the Premier League for next season. A great game for Leeds, I thought. Really good. A Stach screamer, an unbelievable free kick, incredible free kick. Leeds just couldn't quite see the game out, and we're going to get into all that as we go. Jason, I mean, the amount of times we've done this season where we've come on and we would have both taken a draw before the game, and I think, we'll still kind of recognise that as a great feat. But it can't help but feel, just a few minutes after full time, what could have been. We were so close, 88th minute, that Villa get back into the game. And it feels like this has happened so many times this season. You're looking at when we lost to Tottenham and Bournemouth, Fulham, like there's been so many times. Newcastle, we've had some absolute heartbreak at the end of games. But I think when we reflect on it as a whole, a point away against third in the table is no mean feat. And for me, what I thought was most impressive is how we nullified them completely. Villa didn't look like a team that are third in the league. I think we completely stifled them. They didn't get anything. What was going for them today was a referee performance that was just absolutely mind-boggling. It felt like he was going to give them something at some point. He would just give Ollie Watkins whatever Ollie Watkins wanted for the entire game. And apart from that, they didn't really do much. They didn't create much, didn't have many chances. They had a lot of possession second half. They had a bit of pressure, but we defended really well, limited them to next to nothing. And unfortunately, it's a goal that spoons off the guy's thigh and goes in the postage stamp in the top corner, just happens to be high enough to get over Dominic Calvin's leap. I mean, just one of them goals where you're just going, oh my God, not again. But, Jay, we've got a point away. It's another point on the board. That's 2 points out of Chelsea and Aston Villa that you probably wouldn't have expected us to get. And it's an inch closer. It's another step in the right direction.
Well, before these 3 games, we pretty much said we'd be lucky to get anything more than 0, and we've got 2 already. Everything else was a bonus after the Chelsea game. That's kind of still how it feels. Today feels a little bit different in that we fully deserved to win the game, I thought. I really did. Even in the second half, when we were under a lot more pressure, we were still the team creating the better chances. Yeah. Calvert-Lewin has a couple of really good chances. There's a couple of half moments in the opposition box, whereas really in the second half, Villa created nothing. And you're right, like it's a moment of real fortune that sees them score. Bogle should do better in the way that he puts it out for a throw in and comes in. He should do better with the initial transaction that then leads to a corner. Yeah, but it is what it is. I said to you before coming on, I'm refusing to ever see these moments as being anything other than positive. The negative fan reaction that I'm already seeing online is why we're throwing so many games away from leading positions. Well, what about the fact there's a newly promoted team? We are taking so many leads away from home. Why is that? Why can it not be seen as a positive? Everybody would feel so differently about it today if we'd have gone 1-0 down at Villa and then scored in the last minute to draw 1-1. Yeah. For me, I'd rather be in the winning position, look like we're going to win the game for 90 minutes and then concede, unfortunately, later on. It means that we're doing the right things. Against Chelsea, we got a bit of fortune. We weren't great against Chelsea at all. They probably should have been out of sight by the time that we got ourselves back into the game at 2-1. Today, we were very good value for what we achieved, for getting the goal. The way that we played, the defensive kind of performance was excellent. The line was brilliant. I thought Darlow had a very solid game as well in behind him. The midfield that has stuck to the task. Calvert-Lewin does what he does in the other end, making sure that we're able to get up the pitch and stretch teams. And they are third in the league. Yeah, the form's been a bit patchy recently, but they are still the third best team after however many games that we've now had, 28. Is it 28, 27? Yeah, they're still the third best team in the division. They beat Arsenal at Villa Park earlier on this season. You know, they're there for a reason. They've got some serious quality, and we, as you put it, stifled them, completely stifled them for large parts of the game. It's frustrating. You know, we'd have both coming on here, and we both said this before going live. If we'd have finished the day on 33 points, we'd have both been sat here saying we're safe. And I genuinely would have meant that as well, because I don't see how we don't get another 6 or 7 points out of the remaining 11 games.
No.
Now, I still think we're going to be okay, and we're creeping towards that total, whatever total it's going to be that we'll need. But this team have got something about them. Daniel Farke at the end of the game was getting real good backing from the fans, which I really enjoyed to see. We just don't have that extra quality right now to be able to push Villa back when we're 1-0 up for periods of the game, which takes the sting out. So it means that the opposition can keep coming. And in them clinical moments when we really needed that little bit of extra edge, we just don't have that yet, which is what we will hopefully have next year or the year after. That'll see us win them games. And that they're the difference between finishing 15th and finishing 10th, 9th, 8th. You know, so alas, you know, it's not
absolutely. No, I agree. Going to your comments as well, Gav, great point, but we concede far too many in the last 10 minutes. Andrew, great point away. We would have taken this before the game. It's disappointing to concede late, but 2 points away at Chelsea and Villa is fantastic. Absolutely. I mean, let's talk a little bit about this kind of seemingly conceding goals late. And I think you've hit on the point there. We just don't obviously have that extra bit of quality to kind of sew those games up. I actually thought the Mecha sub was really good and really well timed, because suddenly, it pinned Villa back a bit. It gave them another problem to run about. He was running all across the top of the pitch. I thought he made a good impact. We had a couple of chances after he came on. The header, you know, obviously. Happens kind of straight away when he comes on, and suddenly it kind of switched it. So it was I thought the game management was fine, because you look at the options. There's not. It's a really difficult game state, and I think we've been bitten a few times this season by bringing players on that have then dropped the ball, or, you know, I don't want to single anyone back. Tanaka, for example, has come on in games and made a mistake, and it's gone awry, and we've lost it that way. But I actually thought it was fine. I thought the subs were fine. I thought the Metro one really got us going again. I thought, could this happen? Could this happen this time? But unfortunately not. And I think it's one of those things that we've definitely improved. What I love about this team is, you know, we've come away today with a point, whereas I think, you know, particularly when we were going through that nasty run earlier in the season, we were just rolling over. And I'm always kind of, it's almost like, because we said this before the start of the season, we will have bad runs. We'll have runs of 5, 6, 7 games where you don't get a sniff, and it's poor performances and it's mistakes, and we just are not getting that at all. And every week I'm kind of almost, is today going to be a stinker? You know, we're going to turn up to Villa Park and get, you know, handed a 3-0 battering, and it never happens. You know, today we've completely nullified Aston Villa. You know, they had nothing. They did nothing for large parts of that game, and I think that is just so impressive, and full credit to Farke and the boys for it. You have to also just take a stock of the points total as well. We've taken 6 points from the last 7 away games, and that includes the 4-3 loss away at Newcastle, in which we should have won that game. We should have at least left there with a point. Yeah.
And yes, there is 6 draws in that, but it's as good as 2 wins. If anything, I would argue it's better, because you're not losing games.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I understand that a win means more points than a draw, right? But over the last 7 games, I would have found it difficult to find too many Leeds fans that had picked us to win 2 away games.
Yeah.
Premier League teams down at the bottom don't win away from home very often. So 6 points away and only of losing one of them games in the last 7 is, in my opinion, I think that's massive.
Yeah.
And I heard a stat before the game, outside of the 2 Manchester clubs, we have got the best run of form in terms of not taking Premier League losses. We've lost 2 in 15, 3 in 15.
Yeah, I don't think we've lost 3, have we? We've only lost.
I think it's 2. I think it's 2 in 15 now. 2 in 15. Newcastle away and
Arsenal
at home. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's them 2 since the 1st of December, right? Whatever it is, whether it's 2-15, 3-15, it creates a good culture. It creates a good feeling around not losing football games. You know, teams don't enjoy playing against us. They don't. You know, that was really hard for Villa today. They had to throw on everything to try and get that goal. Tammy Abraham were on, Jadon Sancho were on, they were changing formations, wingers were changing, Morgan Rogers were on the right, then he were on the left, then he were going central, Buendia were all over, picking the ball up short, then going long. Like, they couldn't find a solution to deal with it. And in the end, it came down to one fortunate just that saw them just get a point. They didn't win the game, they just got a point. So I think we just have to be so fair with the way that we get, you know, our socials are not the barometer, thankfully, and I need to remind myself of this from time to time as well. But the reaction towards the game management, I was sat there watching the game with my lad, and you know, you could feel that the game needed a substitution from a Leeds perspective at 65, 70 minutes. You could feel that. But I'm looking at the bench and I'm thinking, right, well, how do we change this game? The momentum is kind of coming this way. How do we change it? Do we bring Outplay on, who we know is unreliable in high pressure moments, and he's going to need to be on it in that midfield area of the pitch? No, you don't. Okay, we don't have Noah Okafor, who's that little bit of X factor today, so you can't bring him on because he would have been my first choice today.
Yeah, he would have been perfect, wouldn't he? Yeah.
So then you are literally left. You know, everyone else is solution based. It's, you know, Pascal Stroik gets injured, you bring on Sebastian Bornau or Biol when he was on the bench, right? Sean Longstaff, Stach gets injured or is tired, you bring Longstaff on. There's no game changer, and that's because of the position that we're currently in our progression. The only option we had was the one that he made, and it was ballsy. You know, when we then went to 3 in the midfield, it left us more open. But you're right, it managed to get us more up the pitch. It gave us a little bit more of an aggressive look to the team. It gave them more to think about in the hope that we would then be able to win the game. The same fans that are then screwing about these negative team selections will then be looking at that substitution and saying, oh, well, it's just so negative, it's just so deep. Well, you can't have it both ways because that's not what it is. We went 2 up front for the last 20 minutes of that game. Exactly. So I'm really impressed, and I continue to be impressed by a team that is still one of the bottom 3, 4, 5 teams in the division.
Exactly, absolutely. Thanks for your comments. Keep them coming. Please do smash a like on the video as well. Simon, great point. I think we would take conceding late on to draw against Manchester City. John, I agree, Jason. I think conceding the late is about squad depth. Existing Premier League teams have quality and depth. The longer we stay in this league, the more we can address this. Fergal, the commentary on Premier Sports, we're all praised for Leeds United and believe we'll be safe if we continue to play like we are. The commentary I listened to, it was pretty much glowing of Leeds and how they handled Villa and how they suppressed them. And you make a great point about the options, because I mean you look at those options and you know, Dan James, we don't know kind of his physical state at the moment. I thought you got it bang on with bringing Metra on. I don't think there's much more you can do with what we had on the bench. I think he's kind of making the best of what he's got, really. Was Biol tactical? Yeah, we'll get to that as well. I mean, if we go back to the start then, Jay, pre-match, we got the lineup through. I think we had a couple of question marks about things. I was surprised not to see Biol straight back in. I know James Justin has been fantastic, solid again today. I just think that what Biol brings this team is a level above. I think his calmness in possession, his play out, his physicality, his set piece threat in both boxes. I was surprised not to see him back in. But at the same, it is difficult because Justin has been so kind of consistent and has really kind of staked a claim in this side in a way that I don't think anyone would have predicted at the start of the season. Just on that particular decision there, were you yourself surprised that Biol didn't come back in, but do you understand it?
Yeah, I was. And we were wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we both were. We both were a bit confused.
You can't argue with that first half, can you?
You can't. Mate, I mean, James Justin this season, you can argue in consideration of how we thought that signing would pan out to how it's panned out, you can argue he's been the signing of the season.
Yeah.
He was seen as a complete utility player, filling at right back, filling at left back, can occasionally play centre back. He's been sensational, and I thought he was brilliant first half. I thought he was absolutely brilliant first half. And when Biol came on and we made the change that we made, I actually thought we lost a bit in build-up. I think we gained a bit in defensive, in terms of then being solid and, you know, aerially and all the rest. And he's far more natural as a centre back than Rodon is. But I didn't like the way that Joe Rodon was bringing the ball out of the back line. Justin was far better at that right centre back. And for me, the thought that I had, because I'd have gone with you, I'd have been exactly the same. I'd have been, really sorry, James, you know, this is the availability that we've got, and we're going to go back to what we know has worked. Pascal's back in and whatnot. As it happened, I think Farke got it spot on, that decision, in terms of the way that they played in that first half. And I think you saw a little bit of that in the second half, because whether it was tactical or not, Justin can't carry the ball down the left in the same way that Gabby can. Yeah. And then I thought we looked a little bit out of balance on the other side with Rodon and Bogle. I thought they were getting a little bit confused between each other, a little bit mixed up. So, mate, he got it spot on. He got it spot on for me.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. What about Perry? Because obviously, I think that kind of raised your eyebrows. Obviously, Perry, man of the match last week. But I've got to say, I felt similar. I think, you know, Darlow was absolutely fine today. I mean, that first half save that he made, where he kind of kicks it out before the striker can react, was perfect. And I thought he generally had a really strong game. Do you think that's the door closed on Perry in terms of starting in the Premier League for Leeds now?
I'm just going to answer the second bit before the first bit, because I feel a little bit differently about this one than I did the other one. Because Perry, I thought Biol should start, James started, and I was wrong. Even though Darlow had a really, really great game today, and he did. He did nothing wrong. There was nothing he could do about the goal. His reactions were good. He was great at claiming crosses. I thought his distribution was solid enough today as well. Yeah, there was that one from Onana in the first half, gets his body in front of it and then flicks it away from Ollie Watkins. He did nothing wrong today. But I struggle to understand the decision-making around not starting Lucas Perry today after the performance against Birmingham. Played really, really well. Looked like he had his confidence back. He's been brought in as the number one goalkeeper. So I'm kind of now in a position where I'm thinking, right, well, Darlow is his number one man for the rest of this season. I can't see that changing now, unless Darlow has an absolute howler ricket. But he had that against Arsenal and went with him again the game after. So I think he'll stick with Darlow regardless. I am convinced now that Perry wasn't his signing. He was kind of shoehorned into making that one. He stuck with him for a period of time. He was proven right in terms of Daniel Farke's opinions on him, and I'd be stunned if he didn't leave in the summer. I'd be stunned, and we replace him, because I just can't imagine a world in which anyone that thought that Perry could be potentially the long-term keeper for Leeds would be starting Caldolo over him.
No, it's a strange one, isn't it? Stephen, thanks for your comment. Our recent form is not relegation team form. If we can get 3 more wins and a couple of draws, we should be okay, because we are playing some great football, especially against the top 6 teams.
We won't even need that. We won't even need that. I'm telling you. I mean, 3 wins and a couple of draws, that would put us on 44 points. Yeah. It'd be a record to go down. And we're not in them years. We're not in them days. Like, I mean, I'd be shocked. And you know, if I turn out to be wrong, then fair enough. But, you know, that team that went down to West Ham, the record breakers, 44 points, Joe Cole, Michael Carrick, Jermaine Defoe, you know, all that team under Harry Redknapp. The Premier League was so much more condensed then. You know, the gap between Arsenal and Manchester United, who were the top 2 teams at the time, and West Ham, who finished 18th, was much closer. Now the gap is much, much bigger. Much, much bigger. You know, Arsenal, Man City, even Villa today, you know, these teams that they are far, far, far beyond that. There's no way, in my opinion, there's no way that West Ham, Palace, I know Brighton won today, but I'd still include them in it. Palace, you know, Forest, sorry, I said Palace twice. Forest get to 43. No. There's just no way, in my opinion. No way.
You look at the turmoil those clubs are in. I mean, Palace now, the manager's trying to get sacked. It's absolutely crazy. Some performances then today. Calvert-Lewin up front, doing Calvert-Lewin things, being a nuisance, getting involved. Should he finish one of the chances that he had today? He had a kind of a few. I mean, the one in the first half where he kind of touches it into the box and Emi Martinez kind of hits him after Calvert-Lewin's put the ball away. Should he have done better there? Is that harsh? Should he have maybe just lifted it over the keeper there? I mean, he does get to the ball before Martinez is there, and he's he's only 6 yards out, but and it's happening at that speed, I guess.
I think it's a tricky one. I think he's stretching for it.
Yeah.
So it's hard for him to raise the ball up. He's just desperately trying to get something on the ball. Actually, I'd prefer personally to praise the keeper for a good save. I think. Yeah. I feel similar to about the Metro one. He's just come on. It's basically his first touch, but I don't think that's even it. I think he's full momentum. He's throwing himself at just getting something on the ball, and it happens. Again, it's a good save. He gets it down. It's going downwards. It's Martinez gets it as a top keeper, isn't he? Emi Martinez. So the commentary was saying he should have played it back across the other way, and I'm like, it's easier said than done. It's not like he was up for the flight of the ball and then knocking it on. He was literally running in with full momentum. So I think it's easy to say in hindsight that they should do better, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think the one where he kind of dug it out from under his feet was maybe the one where he could have done a little bit better, because he had control over that and he just didn't get it out of his feet quickly enough to strike it across. But even that were a half chance, really.
Yeah, indeed. Third goal, DCL should have scored his second chance when he was through on goal in the second half. Is that the one where he tore hooks?
That's what I'm talking about, yeah. But you see, he's off to a bit of a funky angle. He's running around three Villa defenders, and it is under his feet. He should get it out of his feet and do better. I'm not necessarily saying that he should score, because I still think there were a lot for him to do there. He didn't really have much of the goal to hit. If you watch it back, he's surrounded by players. So, and the area of the goal that he has got to go at is basically straight at Martinez, which is where it ends up going. So, no, I didn't think so. I thought there were a couple of half moments where if we'd have just laid on the right pass, we'd have been in. But that's how we had some really good chances. We had some really, really big moments, but alas,
yeah, one of them. Anton Stach returned to the team after injury, and you just saw it. Obviously, everything that he brings to this team. The free kick, obviously, we'll go into that in a minute. But I thought he is that player that you're talking about, Jay, who's got that level above. Because the amount of times when the ball kind of falls to him, and it might be 10 yards outside Leeds' box, doesn't panic, kind of manages to get the ball away and either win a free kick or bounce it off the players as it goes out for a Leeds free kick, or he manages to get us up the field. He's just not. You can just see he's that level above the way he deals with that kind of situation, and it's those little moments which I love. Defensively, obviously, great as well. He's an absolute nuisance. Getting in people's faces, blocks, challenges, fighting people off the ball. He's just a good player. But the goal, I mean. If you thought his Wolves free kick was good, I mean, this is just incredible. What was it, over 30 yards out? I mean, absolutely superb. I mean, the free kick, Jay, but also Stach's performance as a whole. What did you make of it all?
I thought it was excellent. I actually thought it was man of the match today. I thought it was not just for the goal, but I thought it was brilliant. His decision-making in pivotal areas were really good. He was playing the ball into the channel a lot that were then useful for Calvert-Lewin and Brendan to kind of get onto. He was linking play really well. I mean, he was just up and down the pitch constantly. I mean, I'm not surprised he has to get hooked at times, because he puts a hell of a lot of work in the midfield three. So yeah, I thought it was excellent. Reading of the game, brilliant. He's clever as well. Like, he uses his body really well. He wins possession in areas where he probably shouldn't. He shoulders players off in smart ways instead of being too robust that he's going to give away a free kick. He's just really clever. And the free kick is funny, because I prefer to watch the Wolves one, because the Wolves one's intentional. The keeper knows that that's going to happen, and he puts it right in the corner. It's such a beautiful free kick to watch. This one today is very, very, very good, but for different reasons. It's clever. It's Ilya Gruev in the playoffs against Norwich, but with talent. It's the same thing, innit? Do you remember the free kick that he whipped into the near post? And this one, if it doesn't go in the corner in the position that he puts it in, everybody's saying what a great save by Emi Martinez.
Yeah.
Stach tried to catch him out and he's got there, but because it's so technically good in that corner, Martinez can't get there. It's super, super clever, real smart free kick, and he deserved it. And we've missed him, even though we've done all right without him. We have absolutely missed him. And we have at times, we've said this season, oh, this is the midfield partnership now. I remember us saying it with Longstaff, and I remember us saying it with Tanaka right at the beginning of the season, and we've had to change based on what's happened. This is definitely the partnership. This is definitely the three that's in there now. They feel, I thought Gruev is Gruev, and he's funny to me. I
thought he got done a bit today. I thought he got done a few times.
Yeah, he had a few moments. I thought he had a few moments when he was in possession, and that's because he's limited and players are buzzing around him so quickly. And but off the ball, he's still so clever. He's still so talented. Like there were a moment where he gave the ball away really sillily in the second half of the pitch. It was second half of the pitch. But then the ball goes back up the other end. Villa are on the attack, and the player that's then sniffing out the problem was Ilya Gruev. So he was literally back in position, and he was mopping up them areas of the pitch. There's a reason that Villa found it so difficult to deal with today, and he was a huge part of that. So was Ethan Ampadu, seamless pretty much as always. Now he's got over that away kind of performance issue that he were having, because he was a big problem away from home. Was Ampadu. It wasn't at the levels that he was showing at Ellen Road, but the midfield three for me are just, they are our difference. I feel like that is really where the whole team is hinged on.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd look no different without Ampadu. We really would.
Yeah, and it's an amazing evolution, like you say, from the different partnerships that have happened earlier in the season. Like you said on our weekly show, I was like certain that it was going to be Tanaka, Stach, and Ampadu was our best. Yeah. And then it's weird how, whether it's through form, injuries, moments, how we've got to this stage where it's these three. But I mean, Anton Stach, just to finish on him, I mean, is he someone that the club, even if you get a really good offer for, you have to try and keep at the club? I mean, it's really difficult. I mean, I'd loathe to see him leave Leeds United, but he wasn't that expensive in, the modern day context, was he? And if, a big 30 or 40 million bid comes in or something like that, are you tempted? But his skill set, I mean, he's kind of a perfect modern day player, technically good, physical, output goals. It's wild. You would suspect teams are going to be sniffing around him, but yeah, I would love to kind of almost build around Anton Stach a little bit, and if we can level up to kind of his general quality, we're going to be heading in the right direction. But look, it's PSR. We know what it is. If you can't sell your other players, if the bids are only coming for those type of players, you might have to be forced to sell. But I hope we can keep him, and I hope we can kind of build on top of his level. Really,
it depends on the room that you've got from a PSR perspective to improve the team year on year. It depends on how much you see the evolution of other players as well, and who else you can sell. Like, there's no way that come the summer that the club will want to sell Anton Stach. But if you can't get the money that you need to from Tanaka and Ilya Gruev, let's just say as two examples, then you are maybe forced to look at a £45 million offer for Anton Stach. And I'm throwing that out there as a number, but you won't be far off that now. For a player that's proven to the level that he has, his output, his figures, teams will like what they see from Anton Stach on paper, as well as what the eye test says. And technically good, like you say, physical attributes are through the roof. Is at a really good age, 27, I think he'll be this year. So he's at a good age in terms of like prime. And the club will have decisions to make around. I think we bought him and Jacobiol with the intention of potentially looking to sell them on at some point for big money to then be able to further advance the squad. And unfortunately, we might have to see a time where we do that. But we have to be prepared to sell players as well. We have to. And where are you looking? Calvert-Lewin, Anton Stach, Jacobiol, I think would need a little bit more proof. I don't think, even though we like him and we're starting to see a lot of what he's good at, I think you'd need a bit more proof. Jayden Bogle, I can imagine a top team would probably take a chance on Jayden Bogle at 25 million for a fullback. It's probably next to nothing now, really. We know Liverpool were sniffing around in January. Gabby, you know, you've got to look at some of these as potential resale value, so you can then develop the squad, unfortunately, and he's right in there.
Yeah, I wish we could. Well, I hope we can churn some of the other parts of the squad that aren't seeing much of the pitch, but we'll.
I hope so too. I hope so too. But there's going to be some big decisions in the summer in there, and this is a conversation for another day. But you know, the rumours are that we're going to have around 100 million to spend as it currently stands. It gets you 3 players of the value that you need, unless your recruitment is again insane. But you know, we talk about Brentford, or we talk about Bournemouth, we talk about these teams, Brighton, that have recruited really well over the years to stay in the Premier League. They're not signing players for 5 or 10 million quid like we did in the summer. They're signing Jorginho Rutter for 40 million. They're signing Justin Kluivert for 30 million. Brentford signed Lewis Potter from Hull for 30 million. This is the going rate for footballers. So, you know, the deals that we did in the summer look more and more mental when you think about it.
Yeah, it's incredible, and you never know what we might do with the free market in the summer again. Really, we'll have to wait and see. Gabby Gudmundsson was ill, apparently. Farke has said to Pope, and that would explain it, because I thought it was he looked off it to me today. Did Gabby? You know, he had some really promising moments where he's in great crossing positions and either underhit it or overhit. He didn't quite look right. Obviously, he's invaluable to this team, and you know, we definitely lose something when he's off the pitch, unfortunately. But I'm kind of almost weirdly glad about that, because it kind of makes sense of his performance today a little bit. It's kind of, oh yeah, he was ill, fair enough, we'll let him off, because he didn't seem quite at it. But another absolutely vital cog, and what was he signed for? What, 9 million or 10 million? No,
I think it could have potentially explained the decision to start with the team that we started with as well. So, you know, there could have been an argument to say to start Justin at left back and start Biol. But, you know what I mean? Like, maybe Farke saw it as, look, Gabs, give us half of the game. We're going to start James on this side, and we're going to be a little bit more attacking in the first half, a bit more open. We'll take you off at half time. We'll bring Yaka on and be a bit more defensive in the second. That'd make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, you're right. He definitely had a bit of a funky day. The back pass that he played to Pascal is so out of character.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, and it weren't even just a bit off; it was miles off. And I'm not that I want to pick too many holes in anybody's performance. I thought Pascal was awful in the first half. I know people will be like, "Oh, Jay's
terrible."
People will be like, "Oh, Jay's back on the Pascal hate again." And I promise you, I'm not. I just thought it was really, really poor first half. You're right. His distribution looked like he was struggling after his first touch all the time. Like he was taking a touch and then really struggling to get to it before the opposition were closing him down, which is usually pretty decent at. I thought defensively it was okay, but I thought it was woeful in that first half. But it did improve.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. You didn't notice him in the second half, which was a good sign, I think. Brendan Aaronson today gets through obviously a ton of work. Probably subbed off. Probably one of the earlier times he's been subbed off as a Leeds player. I thought it was the right move though, and he's got a thankless task as Brendan, because the amount of times he's on the ball as like 3 opposition players around him, and what I love about him now is he kind of makes things happen in those moments much more than losing the ball or not winning a foul. He either wins a foul now, or he kicks it off someone's leg, it goes out for a throw-in, or he manages to get away. And yeah, I mean, not one of those days where it was about, you know, chances and shots and goals for him. It was just he's such a cog in that machine defensively and getting us up the pitch and giving us an outlet. But you know, when Metcha takes his place, Metcha can offer different things, and he's a goal threat and everything like that. But how did you think Brendan did today?
I thought he had a really good first half. I thought he had a really, really good first half. I thought he linked play really well. I thought he got in and around Calvert-Lewin. There was one moment where the ball went into Brendan and he chested it down and brought Calvert-Lewin in, and then it came over to the left. And I think Gabby let it break down, unfortunately. But yeah, he had a couple of really nice moments. And you're right, it is a completely thankless task. That's the role that he's asked to do, and he does it. I can't think of a player that would do what he's asked to do as an attacking midfielder as well as what he does it. constant. It must be a nightmare to play against. His press is literally elite. You know, you don't win too many prizes for being great at pressing. I get that. But if there is a chart that shows somebody's pressing, Brendan's right at the top of it, and it's vital for the way that we play. You know, we spend a lot of time without the ball, especially away from home, and he's a huge part of them being able to funnel teams into a certain teams. How many times are we going to go to an away ground and be like, oh, well, they didn't play well today? Well, what about the way that we made them play? Yeah. We've had this at Brentford away. We've had it at Sunderland away. We've had it at Villa away today. We've had it at Newcastle away as well, even though we didn't get anything from that game. So, you know, we have to be fair with the reasons why it is, and that is what it is. It's things like Brendan Aaronson. I mean, I can't, but I have got Twitter open. I always have Twitter open in the second screen, and the amount of bashing that Farke's getting today is mind-numbingly stupid. It really is. It blows my brain out. It makes me want to go and blow my own brains out on Minecraft. Like
it is painful. It is painful, and it's absolutely infuriating. Speaking of Farke, some comments coming in. So he says there's not many sides who have lost so few away games as us. We've a great chance to achieve our goals. Farke said he was not expecting Stach to shoot from where he took the free kick. And Bogle said it took a few seconds for us to realise it had gone in. Farke felt the equaliser was avoidable after a series of good blocks prior to the corner. Says we could have scored the second goal. Felt Metra and DCL had a chance, and the latter would have scored if Rodon had not headed first in the second half. Remember that one where Longstaff's free kick, and it's kind of high and Rodon heads.
Rodon gets up too early.
Just behind him. Just behind him. Farke said throw-in for the equaliser was given away cheaply. Felt Rodon was superb against Watkins and with monster blocks, but slightly caught out defending at the end, which saw Abraham score. I do think Bogle was ragged at the end. I thought
it was ragged in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I thought, you know, he could have done with maybe a little bit more help, because there was times where you could see them overlapping him, and you're like, he's not following him, and then he's got to lunge back. He's got to run back and lunge in to try and get a block in or something, and it's hard. He
wiped Maatsen out as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was claiming that he did. I mean, he wiped I mean, we have to just. I know we've mentioned briefly about the referee today. That was the only decision I remember him getting right from a against Leeds perspective. It's hard enough when you go away to these grounds as it is.
Yeah,
the refereeing today, the officiating in general was horrific. It was probably the worst of the season. And Michael Oliver is considered us to be one of the best Premier League referees. We are so screwed in this country. And I don't know if it's like this throughout the world with VAR, and I know officiating's been a bugbear of mine for years and years now. I mentioned it game after game in the Championship. But at Premier League level, it seems to follow a pattern to me. It just seems that they give so much to the opposition. They give so much to the teams that are at the top. They give so much to the teams that are at home when you're facing the big boys. Like, we don't get the same luxury when we're at Ellen Road. I don't think, and I'd be honest enough to say it. But it's just decision after decision after decision. Ollie Watkins falls over under no pressure whatsoever from Joe Rodon and gets a free kick. I mean, it's not a foul, but if that's how you're going to officiate the game, then let's just apply the other end of the pitch.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin gets wrestled to the ground, gets knocked in. Ethan Ampadu gets wrestled to the ground by Emi Martinez, and it's given as a free kick the other way. VAR don't intervene. It's a penalty. He
grabs his shirt and he's pulling
him. Grabs him and pulls him over. Yes. It's a nonsense. And it was just, like I say, constant. And you see the frustration within the players because they know they're not getting them. You can see them saying certain things to the referee, like, ref, like, you know, you're losing control of the game. Like, this is not on the way that you're officiating the game. You can physically see them having conversations of complete bewilderment.
Farke approached him at half time. I was waiting for a penalty or something to be given because he would have been so quick to give Villa something. I mean, yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're spot on. It was incredibly frustrating, some of the decisions. It just felt like you're playing against 12 men, basically.
Yeah.
And you're just getting nothing, absolutely nothing. Fergal, the bashing on Farke comes from the usual suspect. Oh, indeed. Absolutely, 100%.
It doesn't matter what happens.
Oh.
They won't change because they've stated their position. They won't change it. And I should be just better at ignoring it. It just frustrates me because I think it drags the club down. I think it drags us down. I will just mention this. I've just seen this on Twitter from Match of the Day. Leeds have conceded 14 goals in the last 15 minutes of the second half. No team has conceded more in the Premier League this season. And I do think there is something to it, but I think we've covered a lot around why that is over the show already. It would be interesting to see where we would be in the table if the game finished at the 85th minute. Because I do reckon you're talking between 7 and 10 points minimum. So, yeah.
Well, it's one of those as well. It's like, what else needs to happen there? Sometimes, though, it's just, I mean, that goal today, it's like you couldn't do that goal again if you tried a million times. The ball, it's like Gabby's own goal against Fulham. Like, it hits his face and goes in the one spot the keeper can't reach. I mean, you can't do it. You can't legislate for that. It's crazy. Arthur's kind of getting behind that viewpoint of what we need last 15, 20 minutes is Gnonto or James on. I mean, the Gnonto thing, I mean, you know, I understand, and I think Okafor would have been like my go-to. Maybe if you have a ball carrier, someone who can really look after the ball technically, I kind of get it, you know, because Metcha's very much a kind of like, well, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not with his control and everything. I get it, but I just think Gnonto's so far off it at the minute. I just don't think Farke trusts him to be able to deliver it, to be honest.
I want to touch Gnonto with an absolute barge pole today. I think it'd have been an absolute train wreck. And I unfortunately, I feel a little bit the same about our Tanaka. I think Tanaka would have been exactly the same. I don't think you can trust them right now. Gnonto especially would have given us big problems, whereas Metra at least will provide a little bit of something, like you said. James would have been a different kettle of fish. I think there was an avenue where I was thinking Dan James would have been good on that counter, but you don't know how fit he is. Do we need to risk him? You know, he's just come back from an injury after coming back from another injury. There's a reason he didn't come on, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've just got the squad up here, and you're kind of looking at that kind of evolution between Championship to Premier League and the kind of survivors. Obviously, you've got your Welsh boys that are in there, Roden and Ampadu, stalwarts. We know Stroik has obviously managed to kind of keep his place. You've got Aaronson, who I think has surprised a lot of people. You know, Bogle, of course, has stepped up as well. But everybody else, it's kind of fresh faces, new faces. And I think that kind of Championship kind of vibe, Peru, Gnonto, Tanaka, you know, the club has got to be looking to move on those players. I don't see another Premier League team signing any of those, to be honest. I can't imagine if you're a Premier League recruitment team, and I'm not talking about the teams that come up, that might be different. But the Premier League teams now, there is not one Premier League team, I would think, that's taking out Tanaka, Peru, or Willie Gnonto. I just don't. I can't imagine, on the evidence we've seen, that any of them would be snapped up by Premier League teams. And the problem is there, Jay, is, well, who's the market for them? How much money? The money doesn't exist in Europe. Europe doesn't pay a lot for players. Championship, maybe, you know, Birmingham, big spenders like that are going to kind of, you know, handle a wad of cash. It's a tricky situation to be in, but I think, unfortunately, especially with Tanaka, because I really, really like Tanaka, and every time he's on the pitch, I'm willing him to kind of put in a performance. I don't know. It's going to be really difficult to see a way back into this Leeds team.
Well, the only teams that would play them three players that you mentioned are Burnley and Wolves.
Yeah,
they're the only ones that would even consider starting, and I'm not even sure that either of them would start for Burnley. If I'm honest, I'm really not. No. Tanaka might. I don't think Gnonto would. No. I genuinely don't think he would. I know people won't believe that or won't want to hear it, but I genuinely don't think he would. I think it's going to be really interesting with Gnonto. I think the perception around the casual fan base with him is still bit Wonder Kid vibes. You mentioned it the other day, and I think there's this reputational thing that exists with him, but the reality just doesn't back it up. I think he's miles away from the team right now. The great thing with him is, when we score, he still seems a massive part of it. I saw him celebrating wildly when we scored, when we won the penalty shootout, and when we scored during that game. Every time he's still on the bench, he's still celebrating with the team. He is still young and he's got loads of time on his hands. So I'm hoping he'll develop, but I don't see it. I think his progression is completely baselined over the last 3 years. I don't think he's progressed at all since the Premier League season.
I think he's actually gone backwards. If you look at the impact he made in that first, look, you could be like, he was excited and it's all new and exciting. But when he came on in those games against Liverpool, playing against Man United, when we first burst onto the scene, he was impactful. You couldn't get the ball off him, and he never gave the ball away cheaply or anything. And like you say, he's just completely stagnated. Couple of comments coming in. Scooby, we rode our luck the other week with Ricochet off Bogle, and whilst we had better chances in first 70 minutes, they kind of made their luck and probably deserved a point. Skip, a valuable point and gritty fight, but why can't we hold a lead? Yes, it was against Villa.
Let's just talk on that just for a second, Skip, because I really value your comments, and I know that you're pretty level-headed most of the time. We struggle to keep hold of victories because we're one of the worst teams in the division. Like, I just see it as black and white as that. The teams that are also in and around us in the division are either not holding leads or not getting leads at all. Yeah, like Palace, I know Brighton have won today, but up until today, they weren't leading games, period. West Ham are the exception right now, in terms of the way that their form's going. We'll see what they do today, and we'll see how their kind of momentum continues, because I'm not convinced that the results have been against teams that have been in complete disarray recently. So I'm not sure that they're out of the woods yet. So when you're asking that question, I'm kind of pointing back to what I said earlier on in the streaming, that we're finding ourselves conceding goals late on because we're one of the worst teams in the division, and we're managing to find a way to put ourselves in front in these games. That's the surprise, not the fact that we're then conceding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Am I able to see it that way?
No, I absolutely. I think the temptation is when we've dropped so many points, people will look to, the manager's not doing X, Y, and Z. But I think it's a real quality issue of play. It's like if you had, 11 Anton Stachs, you'd be fine, if you had players of that level. But we just don't have that level of play that can handle those moments all the way through.
Every you said earlier on that you kind of still always expecting that shock performance to come in. Yeah. The reality is that every week we should really be dropping one of them.
Yeah.
But we don't. We turn up and we deserve to win football games, and away from home, unfortunately, we've been pegged back in 5 of the last 6 or whatever it is. But we've still taken a significant amount of points away from home that will see us hopefully safe.
Yeah.
We'll get to the end of the season and we'll look at the points total. I think we've now drawn 6 away from home in total and 1-1. We'll look at them 6 away points and we'll probably be looking at it and thinking they kept us up.
Absolutely. And you're including draws against Liverpool and Chelsea, by the way, as well. Interesting one from SBO. I won't read the whole thing, but it says, you Leeds will be next. City is not a London team. SBO, we will be on our match review next week for the Manchester City game, and we'll see what we're.
They are probably, outside of Arsenal, the team that you would want to face the least right now. I mean, City must feel that it's theirs now.
Yeah.
I know that they've still got a lot to do, but it's in their hands for the first time this season. And they will be a bit of a wrecking ball at the minute, I think. And any team, I've said this before, any team with Erling Haaland in is always going to be a real tricky test. But, Ellen Road is a different kettle of fish. We've lost 3 games at home all season. We are very good at home. We're going to be capable of causing them problems. They can be got at defensively, City as well. the City of a few years ago,
No.
finishing 100 points. They're not. So it'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, it'll be a fascinating one. Scooby's come back here saying, if we're one of the worst teams in the division, we get dealt with like how Arsenal dealt with us week in, week out. So we're not. Maybe we ain't pretty, but we're tough to beat and can give you trouble. I'm trying to decipher it because, yes, we did get beat heavily by Arsenal. And they were clearly their best team, one of the best teams in the league, obviously, probably the best team. And I think that misses the point of what we're saying here.
Yeah.
Where definitely we've got a bottom three squad. No,
we have.
It's a bottom three squad. So us going away to Villa and taking the lead, yes, we all hate the fact that we've ended up drawing it, last few minutes of the game, but we've got to look at the bigger picture of what we're doing. And like Jay says, how valuable these points away from home will be. And look, we're getting it done at home. We beat Forest, we beat Fulham recently. As long as we're getting those done, we're fine.
This is exactly, Scoobs, why we should see it in a positive light, because we are, and we're bridging that gap to be able to compete, win points away from home. We absolutely are one of the worst teams in the division in terms of technical ability, overall ability of this squad depth. We are. Yeah. I would say that we're in a conversation, and people, they never want to hear it, but I think Sunderland are in and around it, Burnley, West Ham, Wolves. I think that's it. I think every other team that you look at that are in and around the fight are miles ahead of us, but circumstantial, and given the fact that they're not operating behind their manager in a way that we are, because I feel like we are fully behind Daniel Farke. I feel like the players are fully behind him. The sum of its parts are better than the individuals, but I compare our team to Forest, Crystal Palace, Brighton. Who else are down there? Fulham, you could even put in there. I think Fulham are only 5 points ahead of us. Yeah. I think they're all miles ahead of us. Yeah. Miles and miles and miles in terms of quality. But we've been able to bridge that gap, and that's why I think we should look at it positively rather than negatively.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A word on Aston Villa and Emery. Apparently Emery had won every game he'd ever played against Leeds. And I heard somewhere it was saying it was 8 games. And I was like, how have we played Emery teams 8 times? I'm not sure on that. But apparently we've got this terrible record. And I was kind of waiting for the Emery masterclass tactical tweak to happen, especially at half-time where it kind of puts everything on its head. And it never really came. What did you make of Villa and that? Because that's what we hear about Emery, don't we? He's such a great tactician, and look, he absolutely is. What he's done with Villa is incredible, in my opinion, and what the levels he's got from players. He has done an astounding job. But today, I think it'll be another manager coming out. I can't wait to see Emery's post-match comments, where I think he'll be very complimentary about Farke and Leeds.
100%. I think he'll be super impressed with the way that we set up today. I thought we were, defensively, we were excellent. Out of possession, we were excellent. We hit them in certain ways and looked to hurt them that worked, that was excellent. I'm trying to rack my brains. I'm guessing maybe a couple of Arsenal games, maybe in the Cup. I don't know if it stretched back that far. And in the Premier League last time, we got we beat them, obviously, 3-0 away from home. That wasn't him, though. That will have been Dean Smith, I would have thought. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure when we've played them 8 times. Definitely not played them 8 times in the league, I would have thought. No. But yeah, interesting one. But I think he'll be impressed, mate. I think he'd be really impressed, and I think he'd have a lot of respect for the way that we went about it. We are difficult to play against, we're difficult to beat, but we're also not a low block just going to sit here and look to defend team. We do look to hurt teams going the other way. Daniel Farke is very protective around playing a certain style of football. So even though we are now defensively better, I think we enjoy defending. I think it's a part of our brand, a part of our makeup and look. We've got players that are capable of doing that really well. I still think we look to try and hit and play nice football at times. There were a lovely flowing move in the first half that went from one end of the pitch to the other, similar to the Sunderland goal. It didn't end up in anything, unfortunately, but we have got that about the way that we play. I think we're really effective, really clever.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just checking out. I can see Emery's comments. He said, it's a good point. Keep going forward to improve things. It'll be interesting to see how he expands on that. And, you talk about overperforming managers and what they do with clubs. When I watch Villa, I don't feel like I'm watching that elite top of the Premier League kind of team. Even when they're in the pomp, I don't feel like I'm watching that. So, it speaks to the other performance he's getting.
I think Emery's in a similar boat to Farke in that I think he's stretching the squad to his absolute maximum capability. I watched that team today and I don't see really any world beaters. I think Morgan Rogers is a very good player. I wouldn't put him in at City or Liverpool or Arsenal personally. I think he maybe can progress. Emi Buendia, Silke, Ollie Watkins is what he is. But you're looking at a lot of industrial players. Mike Cash, industrial, down that left-hand side, industrial. The defenders, Ezri Konsa and Tyrone Mings. Like, they're not, both of them playing in the Championship. Like, he's doing unbelievably well with what he's got. And John McGinn's still arguably their best player. He's mental. So, yeah.
Absolutely bonkers. Just before we finish up then, Jay, final thoughts. It's another point for Leeds United, 31 points now. We're keeping a close eye on the West Ham game as well. That's 0-0, I think. Is that getting towards half-time nearly? 10 minutes to go. So we'll keep an eye on that. But it's looking positive. It's another positive point, another step forward to survival.
I reckon we need another 8. I reckon it's going to... I don't even think it'll be that high, if I'm honest. I don't. But I think to give us kind of comfortability, get Man City out of the way and get another 8 points on the board as quickly as possible, I think we'll be absolutely cooking. 38, 39, 40, tops, in my opinion. See what West Ham do today, but I can't believe that all them teams in and around us are going to continue to pick points up on a regular basis. Skip mentioned Spurs a minute ago, and they could be in serious trouble. They've got awful fixtures, and who knows what direction they're going to go in under the new manager. I know Pereira got a good win for Forest the other day, but we know that they're a bit of a car crash. They're good in Europe. They've not been good in the Premier League, so it'll be interesting to see what direction Forest go in after their change. I'm at the minute, I'm not concerned. I'm really, really not. I think we've got enough in the tank and we've got enough home games to see us through quite comfortably. I mean, I've seen some people say that we're going to finish on about 50 points. But no, I'm not on that train just yet.
No.
But yeah, I feel comfortable and confident, mate. I do.
Yeah, if we'd have seen it out today, maybe people. Yeah, not quite.
If we'd have won today, I'd have come on here with chest and said we're staying up. There's a little voice in my head. It's like when you see Forest beating Fenerbahce and Igor Tudor comes in and gives a really kind of positive press conference, and the Tottenham fans are getting behind him a little bit. It's like there's a little voice in my head, very tiny, that still says Leeds could still be caught and you could still go down. It's just very little thing, and I think if we would have won today, that would have been quashed. I really think that would have just been gone. It's still there, obviously tickling over. And I think, like you say, probably 8 points does it, and we've got 11 games. It feels like it'd be a massive own goal to go down from this point. It's still well possible because bad runs of form happen in the Premier League, and we have got one of the worst teams in the division. I have to keep on acting back to it. But the way that we're playing, the way that we're setting about it, the consistency of these performances and results, they give us a lot of optimism. And so they should.
100%. Good stuff. Right, well, we'll leave it there. If you've not done already, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in. Myself and Jay will be back next week. Look, preview to the Man City game, and then also a post-match, instant match reaction to that game as well. So we will catch you then. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.